Continuamos aquí en el Data Center Dynamics 2025 y me encuentro con Hani Noshi. Thank you for your time, Hani.
It's a pleasure. I enjoyed it. It's been a fantastic event for sure.
So what's your role at Microsoft?
Yeah, I'm a principal a project manager, and I oversee the overall construction portfolio. I don't necessarily lead the actual construction, but we oversee the improvement of different processes, the business model, and the process improvement efforts across the data centers that we have.
Ese es un gran momento para poder conocer cómo una compañía como Microsoft puede darnos información de cómo construir un centro de datos. What's the portfolio that you see is important to have under consideration when we build a data center?
Right. No, that's an excellent question. So, honestly, there's a lot of great trends and construction practices we can learn from other industries. So, prior to joining Microsoft, I came from the oil and gas and mining industry.
Mining.
And there's a lot of great ideas and business models we can learn from that industry. So, as an example, working with engineering, procurement, and construction as one team, where we have the collaboration between the people who design the projects, the people who construct the actual project, and also the people who procure the projects, working as one team collaboratively very early in the project lifecycle through things like collaborative contracting, and really having that integration early on. We've seen significant benefits and time to market with that. So again, tremendous opportunity to really learn from other industries. Yeah.
One of the main concerns that we have is when the companies are not quite sure what type of technologies, the trends, how do we define the technologies. Y esta es una de las preocupaciones, el tipo de tecnologías que debemos de tener para poder construir. What's your point of view and recommendation to put on the table when you're dealing with your counterparts and say, this is the type of technology that we think is the best option for the long term?
Yeah, look, so the key from a technology implementation perspective, there's a lot of ideas to how do we can actually digitize the project lifecycle, how we can actually streamline. So we talk a lot about AI in the business. There's an opportunity to apply the AI to ourselves within the construction industry. So leverage the power of AI to fully automate our engineering, our procurement, our construction processes
Internally.
Yes. So instead we preach a lot to the industry. To leverage AI has been fantastic. It's given us a great opportunity. It's, as a matter of fact, increasing the productivity of our people and our employees significantly. So for me personally, I save about 30% of my day using AI. Things like Microsoft Copilot, for example. Yeah, exactly. So using that as a project manager and transferring it to ourselves. So let me give you an example. If I'm a construction project manager, I can ask Microsoft Copilot, tell me about the lessons learned that I did on project X and how can I apply it to project Y. And then immediately you can start learning, and you're much faster. Instead of like reading through 10 different documents. Yeah, you get all
and
one.
meetings
Exactly.
and teams.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, look, the construction industry is not probably the most progressive in terms of technology, but there's a huge opportunity to close that technological gap and really to start getting AI embedded in our organization. And we're on that curve, and we're doing really well with that. Yeah.
What do you think is the main challenge for a construction manager today when you define a solution, not one or a data center project? Energy, water, technology. What is the main topic right now in your meetings?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So definitely power and availability and proximity to the power. So before you actually build any of the data centers, you're going to have reliable, clean power, sustainable power, and how fast you're going to get the power online. So having the power availability takes about 5 years to potentially build an entire substation, right? So having that visibility of when you're going to get power to the sites, having good visibility, so that's one. The second is people. So talent is going to be very key, where you need to have the right talent at the right time or the right place. Look at electricians, for example. I mean, when we work with electricians, they're very specialized electricians that have a very technical background. It's not just any electrician. So power, people, obviously cooling is key, right? The
Cooling
more
right
and
now,
more,
right?
AI chips, you hear a lot about liquid cooling. You hear a lot about that. So, really understanding, evolution of the design of these the chips and what power requirements are going to have.
What about processes? You already have the processes that you have to follow, or sometimes you have to create new processes because people is one
Right,
thing, technology is another thing,
right.
and you need to follow processes, so you have to create them along the way.
Yeah, look, process is always going to be very very key because you can have the best people, you can have the best IT technology, digitization, but if you don't have the process, it won't fall apart. So I look at kind of a triangle, right? You get the process right, optimize your process as much as you can, get the right people on the process, and then digitize those end-to-end processes. So you need all three really working with each other to get the best outcomes for the business, right? So I approach any business problem that way. Design your process, optimize your process, digitize it using technology,
Digitize.
and then you have the people to drive all of that, right? So to me, you got to have all three.
And measure it,
And
right?
measure. Yeah, what you don't measure, you can't improve, right? So you have to have the measurement system in place too, for sure.
From your point of view, what do you see as a main trend for a construction right now for a data center
The
within the
trend,
next five
yeah,
years?
yeah. Look, I mean, it's a big question mark, right? Obviously, the construction trends we see an uptrend in general. I think this is all public information, right? There's definitely a demand out there. What the demand exactly is going to be is anybody's question, right? So that's an open
That's
thing
one
there.
of the
Yeah,
main concerns.
yeah. There's a question mark there, right? But I can just I'll mention to you something extremely simple. The whole internet in the 90s, to get to
Hmm.
1 million users probably took a while. Took about a month, maybe even more. We are seeing overnight in the adoption of AI. So the adoption rate for AI versus the internet is much much faster right now. So if you just look at that trend, how much time it took to get to 1 million users versus what it is now, you see the uptake of AI much much higher than what we had before. Obviously, to answer your question, that's going to translate to construction. It's going to translate to engineering. It's going to translate to design in terms of the actual growth that the industry sees, not just in Microsoft. I'm talking about the data center industry holistically.
Do you see nuclear power coming for constructions for
Could be,
hyperscalers
yeah,
only, or more multiple co-location data centers? Do you see that?
yeah, 100%. So we had a public announcement about a year and a half ago,
Uh-huh.
maybe around that time,
I've seen it.
to have the actual nuclear agreement with a Constellation Energy to kind of have a plant there, right? Um, Obviously, nuclear has a lot of regulations, right? So you hear a lot of companies talking about
Mhm.
SMRs, the small
SMR.
modular, the reactors there, and those things are going to take some time because there's a lot of regulations.
Regulations.
So it's not going to. I personally don't think it's going to be overnight. I still think it's going to take quite a bit of time to get those online due to the risk of them for sure. But I see hydro, I see nuclear power, I see potentially wind energy, solar energy, uh, a separate turbine on the side, like a smaller turbine, of course, to power. All these are industry trends that obviously were, hyperscalers,
This is more for
co-locations,
hyperscalers at
or
this point of time,
co-location.
or co-location.
Co-location, yeah, yeah. I mean, I see it across the board, right? It's something that they all should explore at this point, whether you're a co-location provider, a hyperscaler. Definitely, we need to look at all options for power. This going forward because we're just going to need more and more power, and the grid is not going to keep up. So you're going to have to look at those options for sure.
Thank you for your time, and we'll keep in touch. Gracias.
My pleasure.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you. Yeah.
Gracias.